In today's episode, we're continuing our Bridgerton Season 3 discussion. A fair warning, gentle listeners and viewers. This will contain spoilers of Bridgerton Season 3. We will talk about the many character storylines from this season, including Cressida and Francesca, what we really wanted to see from Polin, our thoughts on continuing watching the series, and as always, each of us will give it our Goodreads star rating. So stay tuned. This is the Nerdy Romantics Podcast, and I'm your host, Y.M. Nelson.
Exactly. But Yvonne, you said something, and it popped in my head when you said this. This is really what I wanted. Do y'all remember Waiting to Exhale, Gregory Hines and Loretta Devine? That's what I wanted for Penelope.
Yes!
I want a man who is like, this is what I want, and I whatever.
Yes.
That's what I was hoping that she would get out of this, you know.
Yes.
And again, I think season 2 jacked out because I don't know how they really could have turned Colin into that. Colin into that. So it would have probably had to be somebody else anyway. But whatever. But that's what I want. That's the kind of show I want to see.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And then at the same time with Waiting to Exhale, he was like building that relationship. He was in it, and everybody else was getting played, was in the middle of a divorce, burning clothes, all this other kind of stuff, and trying to go it alone. But Loretta Devine, the biggest out of all of them, I loved it. And he was in love with her, and even she was a little bit. She wasn't ashamed of herself, but she was a little bit like, are you sure you really like me? Because, I got these hips on me. I got a little bit of meat on my bones or whatever. Even she had a moment, and he was still like, I love you.
I choose
and
you.
And that is what, right. And that is what I wanted to see. That that is exactly what I wanted to see. But I'm sorry, Stacey, I cut you off.
No problem. I just wanted to ask if has anyone read one of the books? Because I know how we feel about this show right now in this season, but I wanted to. Does anyone read the book that accompanied this season? That kind of thing. Is it the same kind of? So that'll be the thing for the comments. Is how closely is their relationship, like for Polin, to the books? So maybe if we are giving a little, because we're blaming the showrunner, the writer for this, and maybe they went totally off from the books, or what I'm saying. I'm not sure how much is it really, because it's still.
That's true.
It was not good. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's not good because I watched the whole thing, so I can't say there's stuff I stopped, but it wasn't it was out of the whole Bridgerton story, so it's at the bottom. Yeah. And I'm glad that I start off with this kind of storyline because I probably wouldn't have kept up going.
Yeah. I do think, I do think now that, Dana, you said something about the showrunners and especially for the comedic aspect, I'm like, why do you have to make the bigger woman relationship have the comedic? No,
I don't think it was
with the comedic.
I don't think it was her.
But,
I think it was the sister.
No, it wasn't her. I'm saying this is a coincidence that it has to be that it was this show and it was this pairing that we were looking for. It is totally coincidence, but it is a bad coincidence. It's kind of like, when a company, thinks they're doing an edgy commercial and they end up being racist because they don't, realize, and they don't have anybody telling them, hey, this is racist. That's why you need people telling you that. But anyway,
the comedy stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but to your point, Stacy, somebody did mention to me that actually read the books that there is more of a comedic aspect in the books in general than what we have seen. So I don't know if the showrunner was trying to pick up on that in this book. And yes, I agree with Stacy. Somebody please put in the comments if the Penelope Colin book, if that relationship is how it is portrayed on screen, because we're not liking it. We're not liking it at all. And we hope that there's some redemption going on in the books at least. But, I know we've pretty much exhausted, I think, Polin, Penelope, and Colin. But like we've been saying, there are several other things going on here. In my opinion, the season should have been Polin and maybe then the Cressida, Eloise kind of thing. Because Cressida kind of wanted to get in there with the whistle down. So if you're going to do Polin and you're going to do Penelope and exposing Lady Whistledown, that little connection, with Cressida saying it and then, oh no, I can't be Lady Whistledown. And it actually, too, shows the dynamic of the fact, this was not in an episode that you saw, Dana, but do y'all remember when, Cressida puts out her Lady Whistledown paper and they get hers first, and then they get Penelope's Lady Whistledown paper, and then they like, we throwing this other one away because we know who Lady Whistledown is. It's this one right here. I mean, that whole kind of dynamic, that was cool. So if you're going to have the Lady Whistledown subplot with Polin, with Penelope and Colin getting together, then Cressida needs to kind of go with that. And I think Eloise needs a lobotomy. So to me, that would have been a good season 3 because we get more Penelope and Colin, and we also get this little twist. But with season 4, my thought is all these other things that were going on could have happened in season 4, or at least one or two of the other ones. To me, the Francesca Lord Kilmartin, that was cute, but I see why that, to me, I don't know if their relationship could have held a whole season.
No, because they didn't talk.
Yeah,
they didn't talk.
I'm fine with them being in because they weren't. They did not talk. I mean, it was cute seeing them when it was like, especially just position to Polin. You see that, and you see how easy they just kind of went together without it. But it's not enough to do a season, to do a whole season against. But I did have some problems with what's her name, Violet. The mom's like, I just don't see him with. Just because it's not your kind of relationship does not mean it is not going to be a good relationship. Just because it's not sparks like your first 2 kids or your relationship
marriage
doesn't mean, or your marriage doesn't mean there's a fire burning. It's just not. It's like theirs is a fire burning and it's a wood stove and you cooking with gas over here. You're still getting the stuff the stuff is your food is getting cooked regardless. Just because it's different. And I didn't like that was one thing I did not like, how she was trying to throw salt in it because it wasn't, she'd bring them out of the shell. Why she need to be out of the shell? She happy, let her be happy, damn it.
Right.
So let her be in that shell. If she got that person being a shell with her, then let her be in her shell.
And I was glad
she doesn't need, and she was happy. It is.
And I was glad when Lady Danbury said that. I was glad when somebody finally
feeling some kind of way.
Exactly. And I was glad when Lady Danbury checked her and said exactly that, because I agree with you. When Lady Danbury was finally like, just because it's not your love story doesn't mean it ain't love, because she was really, and I don't know how many times your daughter can say to you, I'm not like you, and all this is too much. all this has been a lot my whole life and I'm tired of it. Like, how many times can somebody say that to you? I can't even hear myself think in this house with all these people. You thrive on that, but I'm over here withering. I don't know how many more times she could hear that from her daughter, who said it as politely as I've ever heard it said. But I was glad when Lady Danbury checked her and said, or maybe her brother, somebody checked her and said, "That's this because it's not."
It was Lady Danbury.
Yeah, because it's not your idea of love doesn't make it not love. Because I think somebody really needed to say that to her, because it was really getting on my nerves too, Stacey. Everybody, and also to me it was even more annoying with the juxtaposition of Polin and all the and I was
and he brought her like
exactly.
Go ahead, sorry.
And so I was comparing the two and thinking, this is ridiculous. I'm tired of all the. And if that's what we gonna get out of a hot flaming love, give me the quiet people who don't talk, because I was annoyed. So I think it was a nice way to see somebody to learn her and to bring her to I think what you're trying to say.
Bring her that music. That music.
Yeah,
it's like
he listened.
You found her. Go ahead. Sorry.
Because he listened.
Go ahead.
No, you're right. Bring her the music because he listened when she talked. A novel idea.
Right. Exactly. And see, to me, that's why I feel like Francesca could have been in season 4. It could have been Francesca. It could have been it could have been the pregnancy race. It could have even been Benedict. And to me, with Francesca and with the mother part that I didn't like, if we had that juxtaposition between the mother and Lord Anderson, Lady Danbury's brother, showed that a little bit more, like maybe Francesca, maybe showing kind of that burgeoning, and then the Francesca Kilmartin thing, and then maybe Francesca could be like, well, or somebody, maybe Lady Danbury, once she's accepted everything, could have also said something to the effect of, well, you got your own relationship to deal with. Let these young people do what they doing, right? Kind of thing. It would have been nice to just put all of that in another season.
I think. I think the reason that they didn't is because true to the story, that's not Francesca's story. And that's the difference. And I think that's why they had to do it the way they do it, because Francesca's story isn't what we've seen so far. Yeah. And so I think that's why they had to tee it up, is because her actual story is her actual story goes in a different direction. And I think that's why they had to tee it up now, because her actual story is different. And I think that one I think they had to keep in, because in order to move the rest of the stories along later on, that we have to see this now. But I do agree with you that maybe some of the other stuff could have been weaved into the pieces of another story. But I think their story had to happen now, because you can't go forward until you've seen it.
Well, considering that they're going to do season 4 like they're going to do season 4, yeah, you got to. My thing is, though, the whole Benedict story, which I want to talk about just for a minute, was confusing as all get out, because I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it's, because I was seeing something that wasn't there, and maybe being happy that it was there or something. I don't know. But for me, in I think it was season 1, I thought that Benedict was already accepting of the fact that he liked dudes.
I thought so too.
He seemed to be struggling, and I was like, "Why are you struggling? I thought you already."
He liked everybody season 1. A big old party full of everybody.
I thought he was already okay with him, with being not the polyamorous part, but at least being bisexual. I thought he was okay with that himself, not necessarily everybody else being okay with it. I mean, this is what, Regency period England, but I thought he was at least okay with it in his mind. But it seems like when he's presented with the thruple kind of thing, well, first off, him going for Lady Tilly Arnold kind of threw me a little bit, because again, I thought that he was, into guys. But because she was older and she was in her own thing, I think that energy is what drew him, because he was kind of like, I want to be in my own thing. I want to call my own plays. And I'm in this Bridgerton family where I'm not really calling my own plays, and I can't really do my own thing, because really what I want to do is not really societally acceptable and that kind of thing. And so maybe that was what was drawing them together. But then when she brought her other lover, Paul Suarez, when she brought him around and he was confused or wasn't reading the signs that, hey, this is like, he likes you kind of thing, it threw me, because I was like, I thought you liked guys, and I thought we got over that part. I mean, is anybody thrown by this? I mean, or did we just not even care about Benedict at this point? I mean, what are we thinking? Dana raised her hand.
Yeah,
I didn't even see the part where he felt conflicted, so I don't even know about that. But yeah, early on in the very first season, he was just living his best life. When he would go to that place where they were like, party, but
salon thing.
Yeah, so I'm shocked that he's now, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, maybe it was because of who she was, and because that group that he was with were like artists and people on the edge of society, and she's Lady So and So. She's actually part of his would be real circle kind of folks.
She's also having sex with random, outside.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking maybe.
Yeah,
but it's out. But I was thinking if you have your blinders on, that people in in our elite kind of a thing don't do this, and she didn't seem like she was outspoken and all that, but he's just like, whoa, she's really she's really more of my kind of type, and just because of the fact that when they had the throuple, and when she was like, I want to be more committed, and he's like, I'm not ready for that, and I was thinking to myself, as soon as he said that, I was like, he's going through a whole phase now. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
As soon as she said, he was like, no, I can't, commit now. A whole new world has been opened for me. Mate.
Right.
He doesn't want to be put in one, in a stable or just too committed relationship. Let me just say a committed relationship. I thought it was okay, but again, there was so much going on. Yeah. That could be part, like, it doesn't, I'm not saying that needed a season, because it doesn't, but it could have been the side piece of another couple thing, just in that, because he had just too much stuff going on. And go ahead, Marcia, sorry.
Yeah, no, at first I thought that it was because, so I think, for me, I thought he really liked her when he thought it was just him and her. And at that point, if she had said she wanted to be committed, I think he would have gone for it. But I think you're right, Stacey. Once she added another flavor, and then he got experience that, then he was like, oh, no, I don't want to be tied down to that. And I think that was truly a next lifetime. Like Erykah Badu should have been playing. But I think that's what kind of confused me, is because I thought he was really digging her until he found out that she wanted to bring somebody, that she had somebody else. And then I think he said, oh, well, if that's what she going with, then I'm not going to let my feelings get any deeper. And then her feelings got deep, which I think was weird, because how you going to want to be more committed after you done brought somebody else in? Please help me understand, because I think I done read the playbook wrong myself, because I was like, what? So now you want to be?
Yeah.
And so I think that was part of it. And I think that the thing of the time that let her be more flexible and more whatever is because she was a widow, right? So she wasn't young and trying to be married, and she had the financial freedom to move in a space where she didn't need a chaperone. And basically, she didn't need a chaperone. She didn't have to have permission. She was independently wealthy, and therefore she could be discreet and move around in a way that Penelope couldn't. That's a young person of the ton could not. A single person of the ton could not do.
Yeah.
But I do think that that's what happened. Is he was digging on her when he thought she might be his option, right? That he could get a widow who was a little bit looser with her morals, like a little bit less refined, and that maybe that could be his ticket out of the marriage mart. And so I think that's what he was thinking at first when they first started getting together. Then she all of a sudden is like, hey, meet my friend. And then he's like, oh, well, then she not going for monogamy, so I don't have to either. And then she flips it around, and I think she realized the same thing. He's open. He won't judge me. He could be my way out of somebody trying to marry me off to someone else. And then he's like, oh, no, I don't want that. Because different lifetimes. Two different... They didn't talk about things like they should have because they were too busy in the middle trying to figure out where Paul was going to go. But I don't think that I really cared about the throuple very much. I really do feel like it was noise at that point because it was already a 3-ring circus by then. We had the marriage mart running. We had the two sisters with trying to do the baby race. We had the whistle down hunt. We had Polin. We had the silent couple. We had the old couple. We had the odd couple. Like it was so many things going on that at some point I was just like, it's too much. Like we had Cressida, and then we had Penelope beating Cressida out. If Cressida had been a friendlier person, she could have been at that hunting lodge while that man was off, finding flowers somewhere. If she had been,
that would have been the perfect thing for.
It would have been a perfect thing. That's the life she had wanted.
Uh-huh.
But she was she couldn't hold on to her petty just long enough to win the guy over, and she was so hell bent on making Penelope look bad to make herself look better that was her actual perfect opportunity, because she needed to be out of her father's. She wanted to be independent and be able to call her own shots, and she very much would have been back at the ton and not in her daddy's house where she could see her mom and she could go and do about as she pleased. She messed that one up and then ended up trying to find her way out by declaring to be Lady Whistledown, which with her daddy seemed like a death wish when you think about it. I mean, it was just, I think if anything, I felt the arc, Cressida's arc was the best, because she was going through, like I think her arc was one of the ones that was the strongest to see from the beginning to the end. And I think that's the one thing that made me feel bad for her when I saw her sitting in that carriage with her evil aunt, because she was horrible.
And the fact that you could even feel bad for her, right? That's the thing that I like, is that we went through that, because if you had told me you'd be feeling bad for her early on, I would think you were have
you been watching this?
But she does mention about how her mom raised her, like, of every woman was competition. There was no friendships in this race, and that helps you understand her better. Now, how old was the person her dad was trying to hook her up with? How old was he?
Oh, he was old.
I was like, he's old, but I was like, how
maybe
old?
He would die soon. Is that what you're trying to get?
Yes, I'm just saying.
And it's funny because we said like 97, but he would probably be like, realistically, back in the day, 50 was old. 50 was 90.
Oh, but I was like, how old was he? It's like, how old was he? Because how long could she ride that out before?
Right. Was he on death's doorstep? Because she might have been.
Like you said, he's a healthy whatchamacallit, but how healthy was he?
Right.
Can we get a?
But then the other thing is, she probably would want an heir, because again, if he died
before she got pregnant, I mean, and then if she's trying, Tom.
But it still might have been better than that aunt. The older.
Yeah, that's what I'm just saying. Really, like, the old man's like, hey, depending on how spry he was, you gotta find out how spry.
That I need to know first.
He was like, hey, can we take a day trip to see how you ride these horses? How can I do, can you do a sprint? If you can't do that, maybe we can, maybe he won't last that long.
But even then, he didn't hate her.
She could be the widow lady so-and-so,
Exactly. But at least he didn't hate her. He wasn't predisposed to dislike her as much as her aunt was. Like, if you had to choose two old people, choose the one that doesn't hate you. And that's the thing that I couldn't figure out about Cressida's plan. Because she ended up with the one who hated her. And at least with the old man, there was a potential for financial independence. And that he might only make it a couple of years, but at least you wouldn't be at your daddy's house where he hated you, or sitting with the old woman who hates you. She made the series of the most unfortunate. And then her mom was like, I can't help you because your daddy about to disown me too. So if I got to choose, she literally basically said, if I got to choose between you and me, I'm going to choose me. But Cressida didn't really choose herself. And I was confused. She made a series of horrible. But you know what? I blame Eloise for not being a friend and a sounding board. So she could have thought that through.
Yeah.
I blame Eloise for her ending up with her aunt.
I have to agree.
I do. I blame Eloise.
Because all she had to do was how old that guy is, maybe 5 years. Could be 10, who knows? But she gonna be the rest of her life for that aunt. And then once that aunt gone, where else you going? Back home to your daddy?
Yes,
or your
because
parents?
her aunt is gonna give the money to her daddy. Her aunt ain't gonna leave her nothing. She's gonna make her work for her like an indentured servant, and then send all the rest of her money back to her beloved brother. She's still gonna be destitute and dependent on him. I am sad for her.
I hope she finds a man wherever she's going, because I don't know. I mean, in my mind, you think the 5 years, again, like you said, Stacey, it will depend on the guy, because all I can think is that not in the middle of the night and that slow door open when he coming. I don't know. I might go with the aunt too.
I don't know, because he might be a Lord Danbury. Because Lord Danbury was up and going every time. That's why I gotta say, you gotta find out how spry he is, because Lord Danbury had the Energizer Bunny energy. It's like, how spry is this guy? Can I see how what does your day look like? When did he start?
Oh my God!
Is he already bedridden? That's a plus. If he's still taking the morning constitution, I might not be able to do it.
No.
I think we do it. Yeah.
You got the gout?
Oh, okay.
Exactly. But if you still strolling every morning at dawn, I don't know, sir. You seem pretty fit.
Yes. And I go on hunts regularly. I was like, oh no, that be, that means he on the horse and he getting up and no. We got to find out what kind of
shape he's in.
What shape he is for that decision to be final. But I would have found out what shape he is, and then I could have made an informed decision on whether you need to marry him or not.
So I have a question. So I heard this, and I didn't notice, but I wanted to see if y'all noticed. So there, I keep my ear to the ground, aka TikTok. So one of the things people was talking about is people were upset that Francesca had been replaced. Y'all, I didn't know she'd been replaced at all. I didn't know it was a different actress whatsoever. Did y'all notice?
So, I'll be honest, most of those people I can't tell apart from each other.
Her role wasn't that
the
big.
three guys, when they were all sitting at the table, I was like, they all exactly.
Right, I couldn't tell Benedict and Colin apart for the whole season.
Until they have their personal seasons, and they're just like background.
And then they put in, they do the glow up or whatever, they do that. So other than that, you could have changed one kid out from the other. Right. You could have done all of them could have been changed out. The only people that need to stay consistent is Lady Danbury, Queen Charlotte, and
I think Violet needed to be
and Lady.
But
and
I think the
Viscountess Bridgerton.
The same thing is gonna happen with the younger two, George and what's her name, because they're going to have to grow up. And at some point,
that's what I was gonna ask. Is they changed Francesca out because they needed to get somebody older?
It was my understanding that they took out for something like the girl wasn't available. The other original actress wasn't available during the season, like to film. And so I don't understand why we're angry. We supposed to hold up the whole season for her. They don't do that.
It took too long for them to get this season.
Exactly. But also, I think it was such a thing.
And they even mentioned that. That's funny because they even mentioned that in the beginning. I know it's been a while since I've seen y'all or whatever.
Exactly. But I felt like it was so seamless. I didn't even notice. Like I didn't notice if someone hadn't said out loud they changed her. I would not have noticed. Now, if they change her between this season and the next one, I'll notice. But because she was literally, like Dana said, she was part of the wallpaper. Basically, she was part of the background until it's your time. I am not surprised by that, because people got to grow up. Because people have to grow up. And so now she's grown up Francesca, ready for the marriage mark. I think everyone else just happened to be able to grow into their character and stay. But I'm not mad at it. It didn't bother me. I thought she was real good at not talking, and I thought she was a good look. She looked like a diamond of the season, and I think she carried the role well. I don't remember the other little girl. I don't know if she could have done it, but this one did just fine for me.
Now, I think that, if they inevitably have to change out Hyacinth, because Hyacinth actually did some talking and actually kind of gave herself a little bit of personality here. Although there's a million stories, we probably won't remember it no way. But if they do change her out, now I might actually notice that if they change her out, if there's a season 5.
I promise you I won't.
Maybe I won't even change
the kid.
And then if they change her out, my understanding is because these 2 kids are too young right now for me to see them in no marriage mark.
Do they have a book?
Yes, all of the Bridgerton children have a book.
Okay.
Yeah. So eventually,
it's 8 books.
If they don't age
they're not
up on
gonna
their
make
own,
it. No way. It don't matter.
Right.
At the rate they books never gonna get.
because it's Netflix, and you give Netflix about 5 seasons and you're done. Actually, this is a side note. One of the creators of Star Trek Discovery, I think Star Trek Discovery, was saying, because of the nature of streaming television or streaming shows, if you get 5 seasons, you're doing good. If you get 5 seasons, you're doing good. And these are 5 seasons with short, these are not 26, episode long seasons that we used to get on network TV. I mean, you get 10 episodes. That's about all you're going to get per season. And if you get 5 seasons, you're doing good in the streaming market.
And I think it's closer to
us to go 8. No.
I think it's closer to the British model too. So the British model is very much like that.
Yes.
So you'll get 8 good episodes that call the season. Now, also in the British world, 6 years from now, they'll just pick up where they left off and be like, "Hey, it's another season." People are like, "Wonderful!"
That all the time.
Right.
And it's wonderful how they'll just pick up from a British season from. Okay, I watched this 3 years ago. They must have canceled this. I ain't gonna see this ever again. And then next thing you know, they showing another episode. And it's like, but y'all had done this for 6 years.
Right.
Y'all pick it right back up.
When people become available and they feel like they want to act in it again, they just pick it back up. It's a very different way of making
the dynamic is different.
Dana?
Yeah.
So speaking of which, how we watch this. So I watched the first half and then had to wait for the second half. So when I came back to the second half, I was very disappointed by the first one, so I stopped watching. I know, like Marcy, you watched it straight through. Stacey and Yvonne, how did y'all watch it? And I'm wondering if the gap hurt the show or if it was helpful or what. So, like, how did y'all watch it?
Well, for me, that was my parents were visiting, and they watched Bridgerton. So that was like, hey, we'll watch this together. And, I don't really care much for it when it's broken up like that. Because if you're going to do it, then do it once, a show a week. But the 4, and then you got another month, I don't particularly like that. But I still watched it. But also when it was like the end of the 4th one, and then we stopped, and my dad was like, so what's the next one? I was like, it comes out in June. And he was like, what? What? We gotta wait till June? And it's like, we don't got Netflix at home. What are you talking about?
A good point. So now they can't finish the season.
Yeah, well, they did. They have Netflix. I was like, they said, we don't have this at home because they didn't realize I was doing it on Netflix and not like Amazon on one of Prime station. But he's like, we got to do this at home? I was like, yeah, I got to do this at home. And then for them, their age bracket, tell us when that comes back on. Because
they ain't going to remember.
They wanted to see it, but they weren't, they don't have something that pops up tells them Bridgerton back on. I was like, when it came back on, I was like, hey, it came back on. And they're like, okay. And they started to watch it again. But for people like them, yeah, that's not a good thing. Because they were like, this is it. And I was like, what is for now? You got a month. What? They don't like it. I don't like it either, but at least I know to remember to come back to it, or I'll have it, I know to go to my Netflix thing to have, reminders or something like that when something comes back. They ain't doing that. They would have dropped that and be like, until the next time we meet again when I go to visit, and I push it back on, and they're like, oh, this is a good show. Okay. But I watched it in two. I watched the first one and then watched the second one. I'm not sure if I would have done that if it wasn't for the fact that they were there. I might have waited to the end of it, because a lot of times I'll do that for, like, the Dragons, House of Dragons. I don't have Max, and I could be watching. It was like, you know what? I'm gonna wait till the season's over with, and I'll pick it up then. I can see all of them together, where they're versus step by step by step. I don't like really. Now I've gotten used to not doing that. If I don't have to, I don't do it. If I don't have to.
Like, I forgot it was coming back out, so I didn't even remember. The only reason I found out is because TikTok was talking about episode 5. And I was like, oh, it's back? So then I went and watched it. That's the only reason. Because otherwise, I don't know when I would have.
I get the Netflix reminder when it says remind. I can put in remind me, whatever. And then, it tells me what comes on, what's something you like is coming back on again this week. And that's where I get it. Because other than that, I really don't, unless Netflix has a show that I'm watching, I really don't go to Netflix like really all the time.
Yeah, so, like, and I knew that I wasn't gonna, that the pause was gonna be too long for me. So I made a conscious decision to watch it once they were all available, because I just knew that, because I want to keep going. I don't want that gap in between, especially if it's short. Now, if it's more than 8 episodes, I probably will watch it kind of whenever I can. But if it's going to be 8 episodes or less, I can feasibly watch that in a couple of days. So I like to bookend it together. So I purposely waited, and also because I had the day off in the middle of the week, and I was like, I could start on Tuesday night and watch it on Wednesday, and so that's what I did. But also with House of Dragons and some stuff that's on Max, I do the same thing. I don't have the temperament to continue to try to wait for the next episode, because I'm gonna see episode 1 and 3, miss 2 because I forgot, have to go back, and I don't, and because I know that, I just like to chuckle on, like, to just chug through all of them and be done.
And I think it helps. This is all Netflix's fault. Like, they're the ones who start dropping whole seasons, and now you want to back away from that.
I don't like
we've
that.
Changed.
Either do it or don't. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, there's certain things I'll watch. Yeah, unless it's something I really, really like. Like back in the day, Walking Dead. I used to watch that, week by week by week by week. I didn't try to, get all the episodes, that kind of thing. But right now, there's not a TV show that I truly would want to, like, if they gave me a choice, I was like, I would rather wait for y'all to pop, to go, versus week by week by week, anticipating week by week by week. Or when it doesn't come on the week, I'm like, what? Why this week? Oh, because it's a holiday? Now you're not gonna do an episode? Right. Can I get that? And then be irritated because now I got 2 weeks to wait for the episode.
They changed how we watch TV completely, and
they did. I mean, it's their fault.
And now I'm gonna keep doing it the original way, and it's their fault for that too. They just got to wait me out for that first season. I'm gonna catch up and put you back in the top 10 on the second, because I'm not gonna be able to help you in that first one. I haven't seen anything that they've broken up like that. Have I seen it in the first run? I'm always waiting for all the episodes to drop, because I want to keep going. I like to set my own pace. If I only make it through 3, great. But if I make it to 6, then I want to be able to get to 6. I don't like them telling me how I'm gonna watch it. They have made me the consumer, and they told me that the whole point of this was so I could do that. And now you wanna switch it up. I get that there were concerns about making them and having, and post COVID production and all that. I get it, but you told me that I was in charge, and so I'm gonna keep that motto. I'm in charge of how I watch your programming, and I watch it all together.
So that's why they break up seasons.
So is that why that's all I was gonna say?
Production?
I think some of it was inventory. I think some of it is because they are indeed trying to change the way we watch, and try try to keep us from waiting for something good and then not going to them. We are examples of the people they're trying to hook, because we don't go to Netflix unless it's something there we want to see, and they want to drive us there by having more things available, by making these open seasons where you can get a few now and then you can get a few of your other show while you're waiting for the next ones. That's what the behavior they're trying to drive, is that we're always there because we're always in the middle of something.
Like regular TV and back in the day.
That doesn't work for me, because I don't even do that on regular TV. Right. I am good for putting it on my DVR and recording an entire season and watching it on my DVR. I don't even have a DVR.
I'm good for going whatever. I don't care. I missed it.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that. Well, but if I want to, if I'm invested, that's how I watch it. I play whenever you want to. It's gonna catch you where you are. Tuesday, Wednesday, every other Friday, wherever you show up. And then one day when I'm like, oh, let me watch X, Y, and Z, I have all 13 episodes of season 1, because they told me that's how you watch. So that's how I watch.
And that's how I watch. And I like to watch the whole.
Yeah, what Dana with me, I did the same as Marcy. I have a few things, a few thoughts about this, and part of it is because of what y'all said, but I did like Marcy. I waited until they were all together, because they did that same thing with Stranger Things. I think last season they broke it up into 2 things, and so personally for me, I don't like cliffhangers. I try not to do those in my stories. It has to at least be a happy for now, but I don't like cliffhangers. If you're going to cut something in 2 pieces, you need to have an arc here and then another arc here, and you need to make me want to watch that second one as well. I like when, even with network television, when they have a story going and you already know that they're going to have a cliffhanger at the end of the season, because that's just how network TV does. If they complete that first story and then give you like a little dangly, that's fine. But if you just cut it off in the middle, and it's really supposed to be one whole story, and you just cut it off in the middle, that pisses me off to no end. And the thing that's different about streaming TV now versus, TV back in the day is TV back in the day, a lot of it that was very popular was also episodic. So they had a problem at the beginning of the episode and they solved that problem at the end. And then the next episode was they had a problem, a whole new problem in the beginning, and then they solved it at the end. Streaming TV is a whole arc where you have to keep watching. And even with because Bridgerton is a Shondaland production, even with some of her stuff, like Grey's Anatomy is episodic, right? But there are stories, there are character arcs that keep you watching. And even How to Get Away with Murder, even though that wasn't technically her show, it was her show. They had a case going, they had that little thing solved at the end, but then there's still something that keeps you watching. With these just straight streaming things, they have this one story and it goes for all 6 episodes or 8 episodes or whatever. So when you cut that in the middle, that really bugs me. So I'm not going to watch until I get it all in the end, and then I can watch it on my time. If I know I'm only going to be able to get 3 episodes in one day, I'm going to get those 3 episodes in. I'm going to still be thinking about it, and I'm going to get 3 more episodes later, but I need to have all of it right there. I need to have the whole season right there. I also think I'm kind of piggyback on what Marcy said about, they're trying to change the way we watch things, or they're trying to. It's a bit of a marketing ploy to keep you hooked. Notice that they do this with the shows that are popular and that have a fandom. They drip, drip, give you a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. They'll keep the fandom, and they'll keep them watching, and they'll keep them on the platform. Because the other side of it is that there are folks like us who will watch this season, will have Netflix for 2-3 months, maybe after that, maybe watch all their K-dramas, maybe watch a couple of rom-coms, maybe watch The Diplomat. Diplomat is good, by the way. And then we'll cut that off and will not pay that subscription bill for a good 8 months until The Diplomat comes back on, and another season of Bridgerton comes back on, and another thing comes back on, and then we start up again. So they want to keep you on that monthly subscription. They want to keep you watching, and because they've done these big chunks of TV, they still got to have that big chunk of TV, right? You know, they still got to have that streaming mentality going. So I think that's how they get around not doing the one episode a week thing, but still keep you hooked. It's just, to me, it's just a total marketing ploy. A total marketing ploy to keep you hooked. And, you know, whatever. Their business, just like, you know, a lot of other places are businesses, but they really have to understand more of the nature of the customers that they're actually trying to keep or actually trying to pull in with that. They're not trying to pull in the super fans of Netflix who are just going to keep Netflix and just going to wait for the next season. They're trying to pull in us who may cut off Netflix for 2 or 3 months while we wait for you to finish, you know, making the season so you can drop the season. You know, it's really, I don't understand. I don't understand why they do it. On the other side of things, you know, Disney, they put out a lot of their Marvel stuff just like network television. They'll put it out 1 episode a week. But I noticed that with The Bear, they dropped all the episodes at once for this latest season. So I'm not sure why they did that.
Okay, I didn't know.
I don't know what their model is.
Yeah, because I mean, maybe because Hulu, I know The Bear is part of the Hulu, but wasn't that like a FX thing? And maybe that's why.
FX, yeah.
I know they're part under the same umbrella now, but I'm just saying maybe that's because of it. Because you're right, Disney.
But FX shows on FX every week, though.
Yeah.
And like, for instance,
I don't know.
Snowfall wouldn't have been in one whole season. Like when it was coming on, it would come on. Oh, you could see this on Hulu the day after. That was the hook. So I'm wondering if that hook just doesn't work anymore, and so that now they're starting to, for their popular stuff, starting to just drop whole seasons. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I think partly they don't know what's going on either, because that's the nature of marketing. A lot of it is trial and error, just trying something to see how it works and see what the consumer will bear or see what the consumer will do. But
this consumer will wait.
But yes, FX is under Hulu, which is under ABC, which is under, all of it's under ABC or whatever. So, in other words, we about to get cable again. We just getting it on the internet.
They trying their hardest. They trying their hardest. I refuse.
But I'll say this, I appreciate.
And everyone, I know this doesn't have anything to do with Bridgerton, but it does have a lot to do with kind of the way we watch these things. And what are y'all looking forward to next time for Bridgerton? Are we looking forward to anything? Are we not looking forward to continuing this? Has Netflix broken us with this 2.5 thing? Did the story break us? Were we looking for more of Queen Charlotte kind of flair? I will say this. I'm not necessarily looking forward to Bridgerton, one of the Bridgerton or the Bridgerton children doing anything, even though I know that's the focus. But I am looking forward to the whole Viscountess Bridgerton, Lord Anderson pairing.
The old people.
Because to me, that kind of, their whole, that with Lady Danbury, you know, in the mix, of course, that whole storyline reminded me the most of Queen Charlotte. And as I was going back listening to what we said about Queen Charlotte, the one thing I think that they are forgetting, and this is also going back to audience, is they are forgetting the older audience here, the audience that looks like us, that wants to see more of that. And I hope they remember that, at least partly in the next season, or maybe in another iteration of Queen Charlotte, although I don't know how
or
that
it could
would
be
work
called
out.
Lady Danbury.
Right. I think maybe a Lady Danbury. I
It could
think
be.
it or something. I think there could be another. I think they talked about it like it'll if it would be a spinoff, it wouldn't be another Queen Charlotte, but it would be another Bridgerton story that's not part of the Bridgerton series, but it is so and so
Yeah.
a Bridgerton story. I would like to see them as a Bridgerton story, fully fleshed out, even if it was a mini, even if it was only 4 episodes, but it was specifically focused on their burgeoning relationship so that we get to see them have fuller interactions, not so much governed by the children around them. Like I think that would be a cool thing so that the next
Yeah.
time we see them in the context of the ton again, we don't have to, there'll be less tension and it'll make more sense. So I agree with you on that. Will I watch the season 4? Yes, I do. I am interested to see how they play the Francesca storyline and if the changes warrant all the furor that I've heard about them so far. And as much as I disliked the way they handled some characters, the main characters in this story, I did appreciate how they handled others. And so I would like to see some of those, to see other characters. I think for me, it really was, and I think Danny, you said this early on, they didn't make either of them super likable in the way that they were. They were not, to me, the rounded. I never felt that I knew as much about, even though we've seen Penelope in stories, I never felt like I knew as much about her as I did from some flashbacks about the Duke and his stuttering and who his relationship with his father and how that shaped him as a person in season 1. They made them shallow, and I think that that's what we all regret, is that they 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 did try to hang a lot on the marquee of who they were supposed to be, but they never fully fleshed those people out. Would I watch it to see if they do better with the others? Yes. 2026, 2025, however long it takes. I mean, yeah, when they say it's coming out, I'll watch it. But I'm not on the edge of my seat like, "Oh, I wish it was next month." Like I've had enough and I need some time apart, so I'm fine with whatever their production lead schedule is. But when something else comes out, will I watch it? Yes. Will I watch it all at once? Yes. Am I going to watch a split season? Absolutely not. I'm gonna wait for all of whatever is available to drop, and then I will plan accordingly to watch it all at once.
Stacey, what about you? What is your future with Bridgerton?
I mean, I'm gonna still watch it. I mean, I'm not, because just because of this season does not make you've done, season one. When I watched season one, I couldn't wait for season two, and then season two is like and once season two in there, I was like, well, y'all going with Colin and Penelope, and I didn't care much for Colin. I wasn't craving it like I was season one, ending of season one for next season, but wanted to see. And then when Queen Charlotte came out, I was like, oh, well, he may could do something, because I mean, you can't. I'm not judging it by this last season, so I can't say I'm not going to watch it, because I will. Now, I never read the books, so I'm not as invested in all the kids and see what happens, and to be honest, it did put a little cold water on me with Colin and Penelope. It will it will it capture what we had in season 1 and season 2, that kind of sultriness, that seduction, that I burn for you feeling that, or at the very least, if you're going to not do that, have something like, a more established, mature couple, because I like seeing that too. I mean, I liked seeing when we had the throwbacks to, Lady Queen Charlotte, and we saw Lady Danbury and, Violet's, Viscountess Bridgerton's father, when we saw that kind of, I mean, I would like to see a more mature romance come out with older men and women in there. But it's not the same thing. And I don't know, maybe it's because it is going to be season 4 and I'm not going to be, and maybe season 3 did put a damper on it. I don't know. Because I'm not like, oh, when is the next season coming out, like I did the first 2. Or when Queen Charlotte came out of nowhere, and I was like, oh my gosh, can y'all do another thing like that? I'm not feeling at the end of this season. I wasn't feeling that. But again, like Stranger Things, I was anticipating of Stranger Things, and then I'm like, come on, these kids are going to be getting a doctorate soon. They're no longer in high school. We need to speed something up, because y'all wasted so much time. There's so much time between it that I've lost the interest in what was going on, and I don't want that either, because sometimes they wait so long between them that it's like, what happened in the last season? What was the whole thing about? The whole separating of seasons, like into 2 sections. I can't tell if I'm going to do that or not. It depends where the cards may fall. If I got Netflix at the time and there ain't nothing else on Netflix, I may watch it. If I don't have Netflix at the time, because I do hop from place to place, if I don't have it and it's like, oh, it's going to come up and they split up, okay, I'll wait till it comes all together, because I'm only going to pay for that 1 month. That's the only thing they got there. So for me, that'll vary. I don't know if I will see if it's another split season or not. But I'm not going to stop watching it. This one season is not enough for me to say no more. Bridgerton. It's like, okay, yeah, we may have tripped up a little bit, but we didn't fall. I mean, it wasn't a complete shit show. It was all right. But I mean, you could have done a whole lot better. But I mean, it wasn't like, oh my God, it wasn't. It was enough for me to be like, okay, a little cold water, but okay, but you've been so simmering before that, I'll let it pass a little bit, but we need to go to the next one. And I'm not, but because I haven't read the books, and like you said, the kid, you're supposed to be doing it for all the children and all that, I'm like the other kids, the kids have not come on my radar, so I'm like, once they change up the kids and like, oh, they're of age, and like, oh, okay, now we can see, that with them, because right now, until they're kids, but also they don't bring them up, until like Francesca was going to go, then you start to have her, hey, my name is Francesca, in your face, because before that, friend, who is she? Where did she come from? And then I think that kind of thing with the other kids, you said Hyacinth. Didn't know her name. I just knew.
I thought it was the boy.
It was young boy Bridgerton and young girl Bridgerton that comes across. I don't know them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not sure if I can get, into them. But I mean, because they haven't built anything up yet. I mean, we built up something when we saw Duke and Daphne, but then you saw her brother. We built a behind the scenes, like what he was kind of person is. So when he came aboard, boom, they brought Colin in, and during their season they talked Colin Penelope. We knew what they were coming from. Boom. Now we are doing with Francesca, so it has to be Francesca, because they have not brought enough the kids up to for me to give a care, like what's going to happen to them. So I am interested, because I heard about the gender swap for Francesca, and I'm like, okay, how are we going to play this out? How is this going to work? And so I'm interested in that, but I'm not like, I can't wait for the next season. It's like, yeah, it's going to be next year, sometime, I guess. Maybe the year after that. All right, whatever. Okay.
Right. So, Dana, how about you? Does season 3 even have a future with you?
Season 4, right?
Right, not at this.
No, she hasn't finished season 3.
Oh, season 3. Oh, right. Goodness. Yeah.
So at this point, no. I don't see myself finishing season 3. I still didn't finish the last episode of Queen Charlotte. But anyway, so I don't, or the last few minutes of Queen Charlotte, won't even know, but it was for a completely different reason. So no, I don't think so. But if you're asking me if, like, you know, I don't know, in 2072, if I'll, you know, come home in my flying car and ask Rosie to bring me a drink while I watch TV on my hand, if I would watch the next episode of Bridgerton.
Okay, Mrs. Jensen.
No, like, I mean, you know, I don't, like, if we're like, oh, hey, let's watch this so we can talk about it, I don't know, maybe, but right now, because I don't have any interest in Francesca, I don't care about, you know, the whole Penelope thing, I wanted to see her, right? Daphne, I didn't want to see. Y'all made me watch it. I liked it. Then the next one, I was kind of like, okay, I like this show. Let me watch the next one. So that got me to watch the next one. Then I was like, I got to see what happens with Penelope. So that's why I watched 3. I ain't even finished 3, and I have no reason to watch 4. So I can't see me watching it, like I said, unless it's just to talk about it, or if I hear things come out of it that the showrunner has heard a lot of the things that we've said, and that they're taking that into account and going to rework and do some magical things. I don't know, with 4, maybe, but as where it stands right now, I think having 2 years between these shows is entirely too much time. Even if I was interested in it in 2 years. Look, I watch shows that from week to week, I don't remember what happened. Right, like I can't imagine.
I have to see the recap.
Right, so I can't imagine going 2 years and really caring about these people. And so much can happen in 2 years. You know, I don't know whether any of us will be watching anything. You know, so I just, for where I sit right now, I have no interest in it. So they will have to work, if they want people like me to watch it. They'll have to work extra hard to drum that up in me whenever it does come out. It, you know, now all they had to do is say, hey, Bridgerton season 3, that's not going to work for season 4. You're going to have to give me some meat to make me even slightly interested. So I don't know what that'll look like. So for now, I'm going to say no. But we'll have to see. But in the meantime, I will say, you know, it's funny because I hear a lot of people who talk about Bridgerton a lot, and I'm not saying there aren't 20-year-olds watching Bridgerton, because I don't know, but a lot of people tend to be on the older side too that I see. And so I do think it's interesting that hearing us talk about it and how much we love Queen Charlotte, there is definitely, you know, any people out there, producers, showrunners, whatever, writers, hear this, there's definitely room for a more grown-up type of show or storyline that it sounds like maybe we don't get as much as we might be interested in, or, you know, but particularly romance with older people in it. So I'm not just saying like, hey, another, you know, I don't know, scandal or something else that's not really about the romance so much as about something else. I'm talking about a romance show that deals with older people, because it's just like, you know, y'all know I watch BLs. Right, and you know, I was talking to Corey about that. If people don't know, that's like boys' love. It can be like a lot of the ones I watch are
dramas.
Well, they're not K-dramas, so they're a little bit different. So they are. So boys' love is pretty much boys. It's boys loving boys is basically what it is. So it's a little bit different from K-dramas, because K-dramas typically are straight, I feel like. So this is a little bit different.
And rom-commy.
Right. So this is a little bit different. But the thing is, a lot of them, they're, I don't want to say they're kids because they're not children, obviously, but it's geared towards a younger demographic. So what has happened in the last few years is that the older demographic has gotten shows more for them. And you could just, it's night and day. Like, this will only be a joke to people who watch this stuff, but we're tired of seeing the kids like in high school in their little uniforms who like, oh my God, he touched my hand. Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. Don't, you know, or whatever. That's fine when I'm 15. Like that, as a 15-year-old, I'm sure I resonated with that. That felt some way, you know, whatever. But at my age now, it feels a little silly. And so that's not kind of the stuff I want. So I feel like in the BLs, they've recognized that, hey, there are older people watching this who might want to see people who, I was telling Corey, I like to have kind of an in between. I don't want it to be so grown up that we're talking about real life horrible issues, right? About how we're not accepted and can't do. A little bit of that is okay, but I don't want that to be the plot. I want this to be so I want some of the realism taken out, but not so much that it's like it's down to like teenage level. And so I just feel like with this, I feel like it would be nice to see more romance with older people, but not to the point we got to talk about, oh my God, y'all got to write your wheels and you're getting geriatric and, somebody's got Alzheimer's and all. I don't want that, or whatever. I still want some fantasy in it, but can we have it with a little bit more mature themes, I guess is, what I'm looking for. So, yeah.
Right. Something that's believable, but also taking you out of the real world.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I was thinking about the whole, when we were talking about the one kiss and he falls in love after one kiss, and I was thinking to myself, the people who love insta-love romance, that is totally believable to them, right? That's totally what they believe. It's like, it's all for them. But yes, there needs to be a little bit of, I need to resonate with this character, right? But then also, I don't want this character to look exactly like my real life because I'm already living
I don't need that.
Life.
I got that.
I already know about, menopause.
Right.
Okay. We don't need to actually see somebody go through that. But having somebody make a joke about menopause and keeping on going, that makes sense, so for me, I'm going to say for me that I will, it depends on how many folks watch this cast episode, which may become 2 episodes at this point.
Because it's 5 hours long.
Yes. So if you like this podcast episode and if you want to see more of these, yes, I will be watching Bridgerton season 4. And I will drag all of these lovely ladies right along with me. Okay? No, but for real, the romance writer, lover part in me kind of wants to see another one, not necessarily just waiting for another one to happen, but just at least wants the fandom still there because that opens the door for more romance, even if it's on Netflix, right? So yes, to a certain extent, I was definitely in the camp with Dana. I wanted to see Penelope. I wanted to see Penelope get her happily ever after, and I wanted, Colin or whoever, I wanted her guy to just drool all over her because that's kind of where my headspace is as far as romance goes, and especially as far as romance goes with someone who is not stick skinny and, just out of high school. Okay? So that's really what I wanted to see. And yeah, I was disappointed by what happened. I was really disappointed by that. I was disappointed by the whole, because the thing is, your fandom has given them a ship name. I don't think either one of the other ones got a ship name.
Oh, that's
as
a
far
good
as
point.
I know.
If they have one, I don't know what it is.
If they do have one, what is it? Yeah, we have no idea. But they, your fandom gave them a ship name, so they were looking forward to this really happening, and I just don't think it was executed very well. However, you have in the same season given little seeds to other things that I would be interested to see whenever it comes back. No, I am not interested in necessarily in Francesca and Eloise. I'm really done with Eloise. But at the same time, and obviously I know nothing about the books, and I don't know how close they are doing this to the books, because they could be doing it very close to the books or somewhat close to the books, and we just don't know. They're just doing it out of order. But wouldn't it be nice if Eloise was in like a Taming of the Shrew kind of, kind of relationship? She needs an alpha, right? She needs an alpha to take her down a peg.
Yeah, but they keep teasing that guy.
I'm just in my feelings right now. That's all.
But they keep teasing that guy she keeps running into.
Is this the okay? So I have a quick question about that, and I don't mean to try this out. But so in season 2, there was some guy she was hanging around with, the news or whatever. Did they bring him back in 3?
He did.
Okay.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yep.
Yes,
briefly.
because he was, because he's part of the whole trying to find Whistledown. He's kind of in that whatever. Yeah. Okay. So he did show back up. But not in a way that was like bringing them together necessarily. And now she's leaving the country leaving to go to Scotland. Yeah, leaving the country. But so I don't know how that's going to work out. But anyway, so, very long story short, if this goes viral, I will be there. Season 4, here we go. But before we leave this whole thing, and we probably already know what we're going to give this, but I have to do it, y'all. I have to do my Goodreads ratings, and we probably already know why, since we've talked about this for a while. But of course, your 1 star is you didn't like it, your 2 stars, it was okay, 3 stars, you liked it, 4 stars, you really liked it, 5 stars, it was awesome. So, Marcy, what are you giving this season of Bridgerton?
Collectively, I'm willing to give it a 3. Because although I wasn't a super fan of the Polin storyline, I did like some of the others, and I did watch it. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a middle 3.
I'm giving it a 3 because I watched.
No, I liked some of the other storylines.
She invested her time.
I was actually invested in the outcome of some of the other relationships, just not the main one. And so for the ensemble piece, I'll give it a 3.
Okay, Dana, since you laughed, what about you? What are you giving this?
So I will give it a 2. And that may surprise somebody. Maybe y'all thought I was going to give it lower than that. But I'll give it a 2 because at the end of the day, like, there's still things like costuming, music, and there are things that go into the show. Even if I didn't like certain, aspects of maybe the writing and whatever, like how the show is shot. And we got to give it up for the boobs, right? So, I mean, all of that, I would give it definitely a 2. A 2. Like, it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen.
Oh, okay. All right, Stacey, how about you? What rating are you giving this one?
I would agree with Marcy. I give it a 3. Overall, I mean, again, I might not have enjoyed Polin as much as I was anticipating to try to enjoy, because I was like hoping for something, because she's a fuller figure actress and everything. It didn't give me everything for that, but the other relationships I did like. I mean, I thought, Francesca, and they that set well with me. And, some of the other, little relationships that was happening around it was enough for me to keep watching it for me. So and like Dana said, the costuming, every time you see that, I just like, the outfits and stuff like that. And the glow up for Penelope, I mean, because they all, when it has the main character, the glow up, and they didn't do anything really spectacular for her, but you can tell that subtle differences that they made in the way they had her hair done, and this, and then how in her clothing, and the forethought you had ahead of time to put this little girl in some unfashionable, that unbecoming fashions, yellows, and had that hair curled up tight to her head.
Ringlets.
Just tight little rings. Not even, and then boom, she got this thing making her look like an hourglass, all just by a few changes in wardrobe. And I liked that. So, I mean, I was like, every time she came out, I was like, okay, let's see what she, they have her in now. Let me see how that looks. So, I'm going to have to say I give it a solid 3 for this season.
One thing I do want to add that I didn't mention earlier is I like the subtle diversity in this season. So we had the wheelchair, we had the deaf.
Oh yes, I did.
Like all the little things like that. I really liked it because it wasn't shoved down my throat, right? Because I hate when people do that. They put a whole bunch of people together would never hang out. It was subtle in the way that it felt real and natural. So I just want to mention I like that too. Anyway, go ahead.
Right, exactly. It's like, okay, these people would hang together, not that they're forcing,
yes,
this and this person and that person and everything onto me. For me, I'm going to, and I do this sometimes on my mini reviews, I'm going to give this 2 ratings. First off, I'm going to give it a rating if you came into it and you really wanted to see Polin. I'm giving that 2 stars. If that's what you were coming in this season for, I'm giving that 2 stars because you get Polin, but you're not going to be too whatever with Polin, right? But like Stacey said, I like the Penelope glow up, and she has to have that because it's her whatever. But I love her glow up. I love the whole, how she's kind of combating this whole, is this 19th century or 18th century? 19th century, I believe, this whole 19th century, ladies can't make any money, ladies can't do, XYZ, ladies have to get married kind of thing, and how she basically had a whole career, y'all. A whole career. She hasn't been married. She's part of the ton. She's squirreling her money away, all this other kind of stuff. And she's doing it, right? So there are parts of Penelope, the Penelope Colin thing that make, to me, that okay, if that's what you're going in there for. So that's why I'm giving it a 2 if that's what you're going in there for. In general, from what I see from the season, I'm going to give it a 3 from what I see in the season because, again, doesn't have to do with Polin, but has to do with other relationships. And like I said, in particular, the Viscountess Bridgerton, Lord Anderson, that whole relationship, blossoming, that was, a more mature love, a second phase kind of thing, or however you want to call it, later in life, however you want to call it. I loved seeing that. We didn't talk a lot about the Mondriches, but about the Mondriches and how they go from being working class to, being part of the ton, and kind of what they have to do, and the fact that, this, black family with their work ethic, this man had such a work ethic, he did not want to give up his bar and basically had to give up his bar, but then also saw how much work it is actually trying to keep appearances in the ton and doing those parties and all of that. And the fact that it really is just like having another job kind of thing. But anyway, to see them to see them go from being working class, which to me was more of like a middle class. I mean, a little higher up middle class, because they're rubbing elbows with the ton. Right? They're friends of the Bridgertons before the aunt dies. So, seeing them go from that to then actually being in that part of society, and how the society embraces them, and even when they're not doing exactly what society wants, how society is kind of nudging them along, like, hey, you need to give this up, versus, and then slowly saying, hey, no, we're not going to go to this place anymore. But that whole dynamic and all of that going on, that was interesting to me. I did love the introverted couple of Francesca and Lord Middleton. Was that him? No.
Kilmartin.
I don't know why I said Milton. But anyway, Kilmartin. It's late. Kilmartin and how love takes different forms, which is basically the theme of that. So everything outside of Polin, if you just wanted to come into Bridgerton and see what happens, I'm thinking 3 stars. If you're coming in for Polin, 2 stars. So, we've been talking for a while, but we managed to touch on everything. But that's because we've been talking for a long time. But so, ladies, I'm so happy that you came on to talk about this, especially after seeing the season. I was kind of unsure if y'all wanted to come on and talk about this, but I'm really glad that you did. This was such a fun discussion.
Thanks.
I enjoyed it.
Thanks for having us.
Hi. What a great episode. Want to get show notes from this and future episodes in your inbox? Then subscribe to Nerdy Romantics newsletter at nerdyromanticspodcast.com/subscribe. Nerdy Romantics newsletter not only has show notes, but nerdy and romantic recommendations and sneak peeks and first looks from my books. And while you're listening or watching, don't forget to like and subscribe to your podcast provider so you can get episodes as soon as they drop. Thanks for listening and for watching.